Hello everybody. Welcome to another log. The others I've done have technically counted as a gamer log. This one's going to be a video log, a vlog. So this time we're going over something a little different. We're going to be doing books, novels that I love. Um, it's going to be about a two-part series, I think. So we're going to jump into it with Bernie Sanders, Our Revolution. I have this in physical copy, even though I've never fully read through it physical, but I've listened to his audiobook, Our Revolution, at least twice. I got really involved with Sanders' campaign in 2016. He was really kind of an awakening for me in some regards politically. I don't know, he's kind of old, kind of cranky, but he's been fighting for the same consistent ideals ever since he got into politics, which is really rare nowadays. Um, and so, I figured I'd support the guy and get his book, and it's a really good book. He does especially well with the audiobook, surprisingly. Um, and I will say one of his best audio, if you ever want to listen, and some people would say, "Oh, don't be brainwashed." I mean, seriously, he's a decent guy with a lot of good ideas, in my opinion. But then that's just one voter's opinion. That's not to get political, but I'm just talking about the author and how I relate to them. Um, I think one of the best audio you can listen to with Bernie, and sadly I hate to say this because the other guy I'm about to mention isn't doing so good nowadays, ratings wise, is his Joe Rogan interview. I think 3 years ago, give or take. He's got like this smooth blues jazz voice going on. He's got like the bravado for it. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, Bernie Sanders is Our Revolution, and anyway, it's a good read, but only read it if you're somewhat political and you want to get a glimpse of his ideals. Okay, so camera's being weird. Woo, come on, there it is, Schwarzenegger. Um, Sorry for the deep breathing. I just woke up. This is again one of those books that I've heard the audiobook more than anything, but it's Be Useful, Seven Tools for Life, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, the author, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a good book. I mean, it's a bit of a good lesson in, just being useful, building your life, looking at life as a movie. And he does analogies that are reference to films. He talks about the scope of your life, zoom in, zoom out kind of thing. Um, it was really cool. I've listened to the audiobook once. I've read halfway through this copy. But I saw this. I had to get it. I think I got it like 2 weeks after it came out of Walmart. So it was a good investment. Okay, so this one is a novel, 11/22/63. I have heard this audiobook at least 6 times, and I've read the book once, although never this big. So I was out with Lady Psylocke at Half Price Books, so locally, and I saw this on the half off cart, like even more half off. And I was like, well, I got to get that. So it's a cool investment. It's paperback. I prefer hardback, but very cool. If you've never seen it, Stephen King wrote it. It's about the Kennedy assassination, obviously. It's a guy who goes back in time, not your standard time travel though. It only goes back to one fixed point, which is like 4 years, 3 or 4 years before the Kennedy assassination, and it goes through what ifs. What if you can go back and save them? Um, all this and that. The kicker is, if you, for example, if you go through from our time into the wormhole or rabbit hole back to this point, 3 or 4 years before this point, all the time you would spend here, once you come back to our time, everything you did here would be reflected in our current present. But no time would pass. It maybe be a minute, 2 minutes, seconds even. Um, but you would age. It's kind of like being up in space, except reversed. You're up there for 3 or 4 years. You come back down, people you know are aged if you go far enough out in space. So it's a good book. Really cool characters, very cool concept. Hulu did do a series on it, which I enjoyed. Um, and it's a great read. And the audiobook especially is exceptional. It does have King references to other movies, including It. There's a very profound It exchange, and a few more. I think there's also a reference to the car movie that he did, Christie, I think. That may not be it, but there is references to Misery, the movie where the author gets kidnapped and his legs broken. Although it's apparently a lot more brutal in the book. So anyway, another good read. Okay, so the next one, Killing Lincoln, and Martin Dugard, Bill O'Reilly. Now I'm not a fan of Bill O'Reilly, never have been, but I am a bit of a Lincoln enthusiast, part time. And I saw the special that Tom Hanks hosted before I got this book, and I didn't know it was based off a book until you watch it. I thought it was just a special that Tom Hanks was doing, and he did a great job with it. The actors that played John Wilkes Booth and the guy that played Lincoln was really good. Nowhere near Daniel Day-Lewis levels of the Lincoln movie, which I love. But it's a really cool just dictation of like what actually happened. It's surprisingly pretty well balanced. Bill O'Reilly, with my experience, can be pretty well. I won't get into it, but it's a balanced story. It tells the background. It tells both sides of the tales. It gives you some insight into John Wilkes Booth. Camera's freezing, sorry. Um, but it is just really cool and it's a good read. So you get the chance, check it out, especially if you're a bit of a Lincoln enthusiast, even like I am part time. Um, Other recommended Lincoln movies: Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, if you're into fantasy stuff. Lincoln, the Steven Spielberg movie, phenomenal, fantastic, won multiple Oscars. Daniel Day-Lewis encapsulates Lincoln like a lot. And it's just great. It's my go-to movie. It's a safety blanket movie that I call it. It's one that I can watch and feel better, especially about our country, and it gives me hope. Despite what the man had to go through, what our country had to go through, what the people had to go through, in one of the bloodiest wars we've ever faced, and hopefully will remain, and things won't get any worse. So, as of this recording, it's hard to tell nowadays. There's a lot of fear going around, but there's always hope in the past. There's always hope for the future. Okay, so this is not the best presentation, but on a final note of the video, you obviously notice a pattern here, right? Political. Basically, the camera froze. Assassination, assassination, current day. Um, I can get political a little bit. Lady Salak will attest to that. I can get up on my soapbox in my private life. I've done it a few times here on the channel, but I try to do it rarely. But in showing these, I just want to note this is not a political video. This is just sharing part of my book collection. Um, and I love sharing this stuff. So, some great reads. If you get a chance, check them out. Um, and you may not get into these two because they are current day, but there are good messages in here. There are hopeful messages in here. One is very self-help. The other is something to look forward to or something to fight for. And these two obviously speak on our past. One is obviously a novel. The other is obviously an outline of what happened. But all of them are great reads. So thanks for watching. Stay safe. Stay sane. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world say otherwise.